going on, everybody? Welcome to the Advanced Technique playlist. In this playlist or course, however you want to look at it, we're going to be looking at alternate picking and building finger dexterity, how to build licks, how to build runs, tapping, and sweep picking. So let's get started with the alternate picking and finger dexterity. So what is alternate picking? All alternate picking is you're just taking your picking hand and you're alternating between a downstroke and an upstroke. Down, up, down, up. Here's a quick example on the guitar. Alright, so a pretty common exercise that I see a lot of people doing for alternate picking is what they call the spider. A lot of people call it that, but basically all you're doing is going up the neck chromatically on each string rather. So 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, so on, so on, until you get to the high E string, and that's where you're going to go up to the 5th fret, and then you're going to go backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, and so on. This is a good exercise for a warm-up exercise, but I don't recommend spending a lot of time on it. And the reason is because you're probably never going to actually play 4 notes in a row chromatically like this. So why practice it? If you're not going to be using it hardly ever, I just don't see a point in practicing it. As a warm-up exercise, sure, maybe go up the neck once, but I wouldn't try to build any sort of speed with this exercise. But regardless, here's an example on the guitar. Okay, so instead of the spider pattern that we just looked at, I really recommend doing a 3-note per string type exercise. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our 1, 2, and our 4 finger in a descending pattern going from 12, 10 to 9. We're going to try to keep this like a triplet feel, so every beat there's 3 notes, right? And then you might want to switch it up to a 6-note per beat pattern. So you just do the same pattern, 12, 10, 9, 12, 10, 9, but 6 notes per 1 beat. And then once you've mastered that, do the reverse of that and do an ascending version of it using your 1, 2, and 4 fingers. So that'd be 9, 10, 12, 9, 10, 12. I think for a lot of people, this first one will probably be a little bit easier to do, and most people will probably breeze right through it. This one down here, though, this one might be a little bit tougher, and that's fine. You'll build it up over time. So here's an example of both of these on the guitar now. Okay, so this exercise is basically the same thing as the last one, except we're using our 1, 3, and 4 fingers, all right? So we're going to do a descending pattern on the G string on this one. I just shifted up a string to stay in the scale that it's in. So we're going to go 12, 11, 9, 12, 11, 9. We're going to do the same thing that we just did. And then we're going to do the ascending pattern as well, 9, 11, 12, 9, 11, 12. So here's an example of those on the guitar. Alright, so here's just a quick recap. If you guys want to pause this and take a screenshot of this, go ahead and do it. We're using our 1, 2, and 4 fingers here, and our 1, 3, and 4 fingers here, descending and ascending. Okay, so once you've mastered those 3-note per string exercises, we're going to move on to some exercises where we actually change strings. And we're going to keep that same feel going with our 1, 2, 4 finger ascending and 1, 2, 4 finger descending. So here's an example of both of these on the guitar now. Okay, so in this exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to use a combination of our 1, 2, and 4 fingers and our 1, 3, and 4 fingers in an ascending and descending pattern. So this first one is an ascending pattern, 9, 10, 12, 9, 11, 12, and so on. And then the second one is 9, or 12, 11, 9, 12, 10, 9. Here's an example of both of these on guitar now. Okay, so our final example here is one where we change strings, but then we quickly switch back to the original string. So there's 6 notes in this pattern, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, and 6, and then the pattern repeats itself. So here's an example of that on the guitar now. Alright, so let's talk about a practice plan that you guys should follow. When I did this, I set my target tempo to be 130 beats per minute for sextuplets, so that's 6 notes per beat at 130 beats per minute. That's pretty fast. And then for 16th notes, I set it to 160 beats per minute, so that's 4 beats per measure. And that's pretty fast as well. And no joke, I literally practiced just these exercises 2 to 3 hours a day for 3 to 4 days a week for probably about 3 to 4 months. So it takes some time to really master alternate picking, but this works. This worked for me, so it'll probably work for you. And how I did this was I first started out with this 1, 2, 4 ascending and descending exercise. And I started at a very low tempo. I think I started at about 60 beats per minute. And what I did was once I got comfortable, once I nailed it 5 times in a row, I upped my tempo to another 5 beats per minute. So I went to 65. And I kept doing that until I got to a tempo that I started to kind of get a little sloppy with. And once I got to that tempo, that's when I was like, okay, well, that's day 1. And I wrote that tempo down here. And I did that for both of these. And then the next day I did the same thing. So day 2, day 3, day 4, so on and so forth. And over time, what happens is you start to see these numbers actually start to increase. You might have some off days where like this day 1 might be higher than day 2. That's not a big deal. That's normal. That will probably happen. But over time, you will see a increase in your speed, and it should be a lot cleaner. So I recommend just taking these in chunks. Do this chunk here first, and then move on to the 1, 3, 4 ascending and descending exercises, and write down your tempos as well. And then move on to the exercises where you actually start to change the strings, because those are quite a bit more difficult than these exercises up here. Again, this is going to take some time. Like I said, it took me about 4 months. This is literally all that I did for 4 months of playing. I didn't play a song. I didn't write a song. I just practiced this. And you know what? It worked. So I recommend doing it. All right, so that's it for this lesson. Take your time with this. This is going to take a lot of time, like I said. In the next lesson, we're going to be taking a look at how to build licks for your solos. So I hope to see you guys there.